You're listening to the Michael Baisden Show podcast.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Michael Baisden Show. Hot topic today, we're talking about belief versus behavior. It is so funny because I just had this conversation with Tanisha and Dominique about how refreshing it is to be able to talk to women of color about religion in a way that is open, that we can actually have a dialogue about it as opposed to being black and white. Because as we know, man, people's beliefs are very different. Dominique, there's literally tens of thousands of different religions. So we have to be open about this topic. Go ahead.
It's true, and I think it's part of one of the things, not to sound corny, but it's one of the things that makes our country great, is that you can believe and worship the way you see fit without being judged and without being jailed and, you know, with respect.
And I think that's what it comes down to, is remove the judgment. It's okay for somebody to think differently than me. It's okay for someone to live differently than me. Because if we lived in a world where that was not okay, you wouldn't be able to be who you are. So allow other people to be who they are.
Yeah, that's easier said than done, but that's really the golden rule. Treat people how you want them to treat you. And even if they don't believe how you believe, or if they don't believe in anything at all, I think there's still respect.
I think there's still a challenge with people accepting people's non-belief.
Absolutely.
And so that's when you know that you're comfortable. See, I can accept anybody's belief in whatever it is, whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Buddhism. I mean,
it's just as much tough for people that believe. You know, a lot of people are really hard on people who believe. I can't believe you believe something you can't see, and all the technology and this, that, and the other. So it goes both ways.
No, but non-believers do get a lot of flack. And I think it's just one of those things where we have to understand that's not our journeys, it's their journey. And to me, it's okay for them not to believe, and we need to stop making people feel guilty for having their own mind and making their own choices and decisions.
I think you'll go ahead, Dominique.
Only God can judge me, like Tupac said. If they don't believe
right.
and they're wrong, that's between them and God. I'm not the one that has to be in the middle.
Either.
And thank you all for calling in, because the whole idea or concept behind this was to ask people whether or not it was belief or behavior that should matter more in the relationship. So let me bring this home to you. The question is whether or not when you meet someone, you should be as concerned as many of us seem to be about what they believe, what God they believe in, what their religious belief is, what church they belong to. Or should you be more concerned, and maybe in some cases only concerned, about their behavior? We're taking calls right now. You all did a great job of tuning into the show. Let's get to the phone calls on belief versus behavior on the Michael Baisden Show. Thanks for listening to the Michael Baisden Show live stream, sponsored by VideoPitch.com. Go to VideoPitch.com now and be a part of our growing community of writers, video producers, and filmmakers, and get paid to share your business, opinion, and talent with the world. Now back to the Michael Baisden Show live stream. Don't blame me for this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just doing the show. I'm just the host. It's the Michael Baisden Show. Thank you all for tuning in to Grown Folks Radio, one nation, one station. Welcome to the Next Level Radio. We're getting to a hot topic. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot have this topic without the author of the book, The Black Church Where Women Pray and Men Pray. Welcome to the show, Deborah Cooper. What's up, Deb?
What's up, Deb? How you doing?
Long time no speak.
Troublemaker. Nothing but a troublemaker. That's
I know.
all you are. So, Deborah, I was talking about the whole Trump situation, how everyone was giving him a pass and, excusing all of his behavior. And it just really made me come up with this topic again to try to revisit this, to say, is it belief or is it behavior? And most people say it's behavior over belief. What do you say?
Oh, it's definitely both. But, if you express a certain belief, you have to walk that walk with integrity. And that means you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. So, talking about it is good. I mean, that establishes what your belief system is. But if your actions don't reflect that, then what's the point? So, I have to say I lean more towards behavior, but I think that both things are very important.
So let me ask you this. When women say they choose their men, they're looking for a God-fearing man. I understand where they're coming from. But you say what to that?
Do?
Yeah, well, I understand what they mean by it. I don't know that I agree with them, because I don't know that a man saying he fears God really says anything about his character. It just says how he defines himself. It doesn't say how he behaves. What do you say about that?
Dude, that is, I've talked about that subject all the time. That is just game. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, because every single woman that I've asked, what does that mean? What does that look like? They don't have an answer. So they're just regurgitating some nonsense they heard some other goofy person say. And, nobody really knows anything about what that means. What does that mean? Give me words, and they don't have any.
Shout out to all the pastors doing the right thing And there are some out there who are doing it, particularly a lot of the young men. Many of them are out there doing it. Shout out to the young pastors I met in Orlando who helped me out with my mentoring program, and all the pastors who helped me around the country who came out and not just talked about it, but were about it. Mad love to you guys, man. Thank you all for being a part of the solution and not the problem. On the phone line with us right now, Deborah Cooper, the Black Church, author of the book called The Black Church, Where Women Pray and Men Pray. Tish has been holding on. I'm sure she wants to talk to all of us, Deborah. Tish, what's your comment about this? Talk to me, Trish.
Well, my consensus on the whole thing is that whatever somebody believes is going to dictate their behavior. They can tell you one thing, but what they truly believe is what their actions are going to be. So I feel that the actions or their behavior takes precedent over what they say they believe.
Now, I'm going to say something. I'm going to get Dominique and George and, of course, Deborah Cooper's response on this. You said what they truly believe. And how do you know what they truly believe if you don't look at their actions?
That's why you have to look at the actions. So the actions actually take precedent over what they believe or what they say they believe.
Well, you know you didn't say that in the beginning.
Yes, I did.
No, don't let me replay the tape, ma'am. I will replay the tape.
You can play it.
Deborah, what do you say,
I
Deborah?
said that.
Go ahead, Deborah. I'll let Deborah respond. Hold on, Trish. Go ahead, Deborah.
I think that she has a valid point, because when people say that they believe, for example, they say, I believe I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do this and that, and then they sit on the couch. Okay, well, they do believe that. They do believe they should be in shape. But that's why I say you have to do both. You have to look at both things. Whatever the person's stance is when their actions is not necessarily going to always be reflected in their behavior. That's why people have church where they go and they say, that they ask for forgiveness, because if they were always going to walk the walk, then they wouldn't need forgiveness, right?
That's
So,
right.
you have to look at both.
Let me tell you the funny part of the story is that we didn't even get a chance to call Deborah first. Deborah called us before we could call her.
I know, right?
Deborah, mad love to you, man. I love your initiation. What's going on?
Well, I just happened to be on Twitter, and I saw your question pop up on my feed.
Why
I
did
was
you?
like, this is 2 minutes ago. Let me call him.
Why did you write this book, Deborah? I want to talk to you about that. Why?
It just seemed like so many of my followers were caught up in what I call churchianity. They didn't even read their Bibles, don't know what the Bible says, but they're going by what the pastor says.
Mm-hmm.
And they're following a lot of things that I thought were outdated and that did not apply to them. They didn't seem to be thinking for themselves. And I saw a lot of contradictions that I thought were really harming them as single women. So rather than keep saying the same thing over and over and over, I wrote it in a book.
And what's been the response?
It's been mixed. A lot of women and men too say, you're right on. I'm surprised it took somebody so long to say it, and you're so brave and things like this. And then, of course, there are those that, not all pastors.
And so what's your response to that?
I never used the word all. What I said is if you observe these kind of behaviors, these kind of goings on, you might want to re-examine your membership and participation in that particular church.
Those are wise words.
Go ahead, George. Elaborate.
Those are wise words, and I think they're warranted words. I think there are a lot of pastors who have, and it's historically been the case in our culture and others, have misused their power that they have in religion and in the church.
Black, white, and otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and more and more being held responsible, and they should every day.
And look, because I think when people come to the church, they are very vulnerable when they come to the church. Many times they've been abused, they have financial hardship, they have disease or whatever it is, and they're looking for a place of comfort. Dominique, I know you can relate to this. So Muslim woman, call in to the Michael. I'll take a Jewish woman. I'll take a Hindu woman. Call in right now to the Michael Baisden Show. I'll take a woman.
Will they take
What you gonna do with your witch? What you gonna do with your witch?
Oh,
That's all I want to know.
I was trying to figure out another denomination. I couldn't come up with Buddhist. I'm sorry, Buddhist family. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I love my witch. Back up off my witch. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah Cooper's in the building, the author of The Black Church, Where Women Pray and Men Pray, P-R-E-Y. A lot of controversy surrounding around the book. Deborah wants to make it clear to everyone who's listening to the show that she's not talking about all pastors. She's just pointing out those who are not being authentic and those who are not living what they're saying. Deborah, I want Tanisha to make this point. about religion makes you dependent. Talk to me about that.
More studies were saying, as far as religion makes you more dependent, meaning that you depend on the church for everything. When you go to the church, that's your center of all being. Whereas spirituality, it makes you start to question life, question yourself, and to question your things. Now, I can't say, for instance, a certain church may allow you to ask questions, and be an independent thinker. But there's some churches that want you to just listen to what they say and follow it and not question.
Go ahead,
anything.
Deborah. What do you say to that?
That's exactly right. That's why they call people in churches flocks and sheep. If you've ever been around this, group of sheep, you see how they just follow. They're mindless beings. That, unfortunately, is the protocol in too many churches. You are not allowed to question, doubt, do something different. Otherwise, they do excommunicate you, and you're basically shunned from the group and kicked out of the church. It's some rough stuff going on.
That's really
here.
deep what you just said about flocks and sheep. That is deep. Dominique, I know you got a perspective on that before we talk to our guests. Go ahead.
Well, I just think any time that we all have to do one thing and have groupthink, it becomes borderline cult-like, right? And that's when we get into people abusing their power. That's why we have a Church Too hashtag. That's just like the Me Too hashtag.
Oh, I like that. What is that about Church Too? Talk to me about that.
It's if, there's abuse or, just harassment within the church that they're starting to report it now with the hashtag Church Too. It's not just the greater society. It happens in the congregations as well.
That's deep. Ladies and gentlemen, Phyllis has been very patient. She's holding on. We are coming back with her call next. You all stay tuned. It's the Michael Baisden Show. Grown Folks Radio, thank you all for putting it down. You're on the Reese's on Michael Baisden Live and Michael Baisden Show on Twitter. This is how we get down. Thanks for listening to the Michael Baisden Show live stream, sponsored by VideoPitch.com. Go to VideoPitch.com now and be a part of our growing community of writers, video producers, and filmmakers, and get paid to share your business, opinion, and talent with the world. Now back to the Michael Baisden Show live stream. Looking forward to talking to all the young people today. Very important to find out what their perspective is. Young people think a little differently about these issues. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about behavior versus belief. Real cool to me, man, we can talk to young people. The 20-something and 30-something-year-olds' attitude is entirely different than the 40, 50, and 60-year-olds. They challenge more. They challenge more, man. Different. They do. Phyllis, you've been holding on forever, ever. What's going on, Phyllis? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
What do you say?
I'm sorry, I believe in both. You got to have both because your beliefs shape your behavior. Now, in full disclosure, my father was a pastor, so I saw what a praying man can do for a family, and I need that for me. Man. I tried dating someone who was a different religion, and I also tried dating an atheist before I knew he was an atheist. And I do believe your beliefs shape your behavior. And in the end, neither of them worked out when it came down to religion.
That's interesting. If they neither worked out, then what did you determine as a result of that?
Well, neither worked out because the guy who was of a different religion was constantly trying to convert me. I wasn't trying to convert him.
Right.
And that was never going to happen. And then the guy who was an atheist, anything that I believed, he was trying to challenge all the time. Not in a way that we're challenging whether or not it's good to have sex before marriage. And it was all the fundamental things. And in the end, I knew that wasn't going to work for me long term.
That's not right. That's not right. Whatever your belief is, you got to accept people's belief or non-belief. Yes. If that's true acceptance, to me, the one thing that love is more than anything else is acceptance. So for me, the minute somebody's trying to convert you, change you, talk you out of your thing, to me, you with the wrong person. That's not even a good friendship as far as I'm concerned.
It doesn't feel like respect. I mean, if you respect me, you wouldn't try to change me every minute.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to change you if I respect you.
But it's the whole thing of agape love, too. Unconditional love for someone. In a lot of religions, when you talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, who was a reverend, right? But Bayard Rustin was gay. One of the biggest activists on his side that even showed him about Gandhi's ways was gay. And guess what? He didn't shun and judge him. He knew that he had a difference in sexuality, but he loved him. It was agape love.
Phyllis, we love you. Thank you so much for calling. I accept you. I can tell you that right now, and I appreciate you calling into the show.
I do too, Phyllis.
Thank you.
Thank you, lady. You all keep calling in, man. We're going to continue this conversation. Also, to all the pastors out there who are holding it down, I would think that above anybody else, they would be the most offended by the ones who are not doing the right thing. Because I'm telling you, it's a hard thing. It's a lot of temptation. You're almost a celebrity. You are a celebrity as a pastor.
You are a celebrity.
Deborah Cooper is still hanging out with us, ladies and gentlemen, the author of the book, The Black Church Where Women Pray and Men Pray. So, Deborah, I want to talk to you for a second. Now, this is what I want to know. Now, we're going to get down right now. Why do you believe that the church, and you've said this, keeps black women single? What did you mean by that?
What I mean is what we referenced earlier, where people are sheep-like. They don't really question. They don't really look or read the Bible for themselves. When you have put all your faith into a man who has a vested interest in keeping you and your money, your time and energy under his control, what better way to do that than to feed you nonsense that will keep you in the church wishing, hoping, and praying for something that is never going to come? Because the men that these women are looking to meet to be so equally yoked with are not in church. They're not in church. So where are you supposed to meet these equally yoked men at? That's why I keep saying, they have the wrong concept when they talk about equally yoked. The example the young lady gave where she talked about the guy who had little tolerance for her differences was not the kind of person that she should have been associating with. But if you have a person who is mature in their walk and accepting and loving and respectful of yours, then that issue would never have come up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And that's why when people are Jewish and Catholic or Protestant and Baptist or Lutheran and Catholic, whatever, those relationships can work and they work very well. But the key thing that happens is that people are respectful of each other.
That's what it's all about. Hey, Deborah, thank you so much for calling, man. We're going to make sure we post your book up so people can check it out and have a conversation with you. It would be great to have you out at an event and have people come out and have a conversation with you. So stand by for an invitation. I'm going to be on the Michael Bays and live tour, and I'd love to meet you out on the road so you can engage people live in person with me if you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah. You coming out to the West Coast?
I'm just not going to stand close to you. I'm just afraid of the lightning.
You know what?
I know you. Hey, don't worry. Don't worry. If he's scared of the lightning, it's from the lightning that's coming for him. All right.
Got all the fellas lined up. It's so interesting. We were talking about this with Donald Trump about how he was being forgiven by all these pastors who saying they use a term. I can't remember, Dominique. There's like a mulligan or something like that. Some expression, right? Yeah, it means it's like a pass, right? Gave him a pass. And it's so interesting to me. This happens so much when we talk about religion and religious beliefs and people who call themselves or label themselves with these beliefs. The question is it about their behavior or is it about their belief? On the phone line with us right now, I got my man Bernard on. Where you calling from, B? Talk to me.
I'm calling from Savannah, Georgia, by way of Detroit, Michigan.
Talk to me.
Well, I grew up in a very, very religious church, a very big church in Detroit, Michigan, and we had a pastor, black pastor, amazing man. But when it comes down to that belief, I know what he believed, but the things that he was doing and saying, it wasn't matching up for me because the community was in dire need. You know how Detroit is. You know what Detroit is going through. And you drive a Bentley, you got all these Audemars K watches and all these diamonds, and we have people in this church who can't pay our bills. So irregardless to whatever Trump is saying, we know that by law that these churches are getting these tax cuts, they're getting these tax breaks. So I think that they are aligning their beliefs with what is appropriate for their pocketbooks, in my opinion.
You know, Bernard.
And it's unfortunate.
No, hold on. It was interesting because not only is this an issue we talk about politics, because to me that's just straight up hypocrisy. Let's just call it what it is. Also, people are choosing their partners based on belief, Dominique, instead of their behavior. What do you say to that? And say hello to Bernard.
Hi, Bernard. Yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes that hypocrisy in a bigger context translates to the individual churchgoer. So you might choose someone to be your wife or your date because of what they say they believe instead of looking at what they actually do, And for me, I would rather look at how they walk the walk.
True that. Shout out to all my Christians, my Muslims, my whatever you are. I don't care what your denomination is. Call in right now to the Michael Bays Show. I want to have this conversation about belief versus behavior. And I got into this because a young lady, I told you, I met this young lady, George, at the at a bar. I'm just going to be honest with you. There's
nothing wrong with that. You're a grown man. She's a grown woman.
Right.
Nothing wrong with
and we talked for a little while over drinks, over some tequila. And, we got into the conversation about religion. And she said, I'm looking for a good Christian man, good God-fearing man. And I said, well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a churchgoer. I don't consider myself a Christian. And
there's several drinks in. She telling you
right, man. I'm just saying. She told me she didn't want to deal with me because I was not a Christian man, and I said I respect that. And then we kind of moved on. Kevin, what do you say, man?
Pretty much, I think the whole religion thing is it should be all about how you live. I mean, the people who have been religious in my life have actually treated me the worst. So, I mean, I grew up in the church. And once I decided to question everything around me and the way people were treating me, then I found out that the people they said were, without God or whatever, actually were the best people. And it's not that they didn't believe in God. They treated people different. For example, I had a situation. I'm working with my kids right now with Uber, and they're in the back. And what's funny is, like, I had a situation where I needed somewhere to stay with my family, and my family had kicked me out with my kids.
What?
And that's something that nobody would do. You see what I'm saying? Like, you just don't. And they're the most religious people in the world.
Give me the bottom line, Kev.
Oh, the bottom line? Oh, yeah. The bottom line pretty much is it should be all about how people treat you and how people are. I don't really go with religion anymore. I personally choose to stay away from religion because I found that the people within religion treat me the worst. And that's just my personal experience. And so I just go on how people are as people. You know, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, orange. As long as you treat me the right way, I'll treat you the right way.
Thank you very much for calling in, man. Kevin, stand by. We got a bunch of other men holding on. Coming back with your calls on the Michael Baisden Show. Belief versus behavior on Grown Folks Radio. Call in right now. I want to know if you choose your partner. Do you really disqualify a person because they tell you they're not a certain belief? Really? If you do, it's all good, man. I'm just trying to start a conversation. Grown Folks conversation on the Michael Baisden Show. Thanks for listening to the Michael Baisden Show live stream, sponsored by VideoPitch.com. Go to VideoPitch.com now and be a part of our growing community of writers, video producers, and filmmakers, and get paid to share your business, opinion, and talent with the world. Now back to the Michael Baisden Show live stream. I'm going to say this one more time. Shout out to all the pastors who are holding it down, the good ones who are doing the right thing, all the pastors who helped me doing the 1 Million Mentors Tour, those who are mentors, those who are out there, I mean, in the streets, not just in the church. Shout out to you, gentlemen, and to the ladies as well. Call in right now to the Michael Baisden Show. I want to give the love to some pastors who got it going on. On the phone line with us right now, we got Ken the Cookie Man. What's up, Ken the Cookie Man?
What's up, Cookie Man?
What's up, Michael Baisden?
What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, man. Doing fine.
Hey, Ken, are you a good man?
Man, oh, man.
Are you a good man?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir.
What makes you a good man?
Well, what makes me a good man is I have good values. I've been raised right. I know how to treat people right. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and that's pretty much all you need.
You take care of your kids. You got kids?
I don't have any kids now.
You take care of the ladies in your life. You're respectful. You're honest.
Exactly.
Are you a charitable person? Do you are you a charitable guy? Do you do some mentoring? Do you give money when you can?
I surely do.
Now, I'm wondering, for a lot of women, if you are a good man, why would that not be enough, Dominique? And I'm just going to ask you to get involved with this conversation with me and Ken. Would that be enough for you, Dominique?
I think it would be enough for me. I just feel like maybe partly because of the questions that Tanisha raised, or I told you about my girlfriend who she's Christian, she married a Muslim, they left each other at the altar. I think we worry that later into the relationship, those religious beliefs will cause division.
When you have different
arguments.
Beliefs.
Yeah.
What about you, Ken? Do you choose your ladies based on their belief? How do you go about choosing?
I go by behavior because beliefs aren't jack. People believe in anything. People will believe that cigarettes cause cancer, but people smoke cigarettes, right? So beliefs don't really mean anything.
Ooh,
and
went there.
As far as religious belief, there are no two alike. It's like fingerprints. No one believes the same exact thing. Nowhere.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
It's a personal relationship.
And
you
I
should
can
have with
relate. Exactly. And I can relate. I mean, I went on a date with a girl, and she was really nice. She really clicked on everything, politics, and we got on religion. And it kind of went south after that. And I told her I have a podcast, and we talk about religion all the time. We dog religion. And I said, let me give you the link. And she said, well, I don't want that in my spirit.
Well, first of all, I don't knock her. I don't knock her for not wanting. That's her choice. But we got to ask ourselves, and this is everybody out there listening to the Michael Baisden Show, what are our standards? You better go into a relationship with that. If you don't have that, you don't have nothing. Tamiko, what's going on? You've been hanging on a while, young lady. Talk to me. What's going on?
I believe it has a little bit to do with both. I'm more of a spiritual person. I wouldn't dismiss a person on their religious beliefs because everybody's beliefs is different. When you say unconditional love, it's unconditional love no matter what.
So you accept them no matter what they're doing. So if you met a Hindu guy, he said he was a Hindu, you wouldn't disqualify him because of that.
No, I would get to know him as a person.
There you go. What do you say to that, Tanisha?
And
What about a pirate? What if you met a pirate?
I would get to know him as a people say.
Oh, man.
It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart and your spirit.
You know, I wonder why, I don't even like having that conversation about religion. I don't. It is one of the most difficult ones, which is why I want to have an intelligent conversation with you guys on the show today about whether or not we're making choices based on that, because it is one of the most divisive topics in the world, Dominique. Why do you think it's so divisive for people? We can't just have a conversation and agree to disagree.
I mean, I didn't realize there were so many thousands of religions, but I think it's like a tribal thing. Everybody goes to their camp, and it's life or death for some people, because if you don't believe the way they believe, then you could be going to hell.
There you go. People want you to believe it. It's not just good enough for you to believe what you believe, and it's not even good enough for you not to believe in anything at all. You need people to believe how you believe.
Yep. I call it spiritual gangbanging, and I wish people would stop and just live and let live.
Yes.
And you know what? That's why we have a lot of war.
Yeah.
Think about it. Which religion is the right religion?
Oh my
Instead
God,
of just embracing,
that's deep.
where do we all have a common ground? Again, I will go to
I'm
that.
going to get up and
Love,
hug you right now.
kindness,
I'm going to get up. Hold on,
compassion.
everybody. I'm coming over here.
Whoa. Hey, slow down. Sit down. You ain't learned nothing from all this going on.
I'm sorry.
Sit down.
I'm sorry. I
Sit
can't
down,
hug her.
man.
Listen, I'm trying to get a hug from Tanisha for making a great point. Thank you all for tuning in. I came and hugged the woman. What is going on? And Tanisha was looking at me. Oh, my God, he's going to touch me.
Wow.
Because Tanisha knows.
You're not a hugger.
Tell him, Tanisha.
That's beautiful. He does not hug. I'm a family person.
Not because I don't hug, because of the whole thing.
Yeah, you're just careful, and I
Yes,
get it,
yes.
and I totally get it.
You
We
can
fist bump.
You can have
He's
some
hugged
dap,
his
though.
daughter 7 times. She's 29 years old.
Sheena, do not listen to them. How you doing, Sheena? We're talking about behavior versus belief. What's on your mind?
I'm doing great. What I really believe is that your behavior is dictated by what you believe.
Really?
Whether
Yes,
you tell yourself
if you
that or
believe
not,
a certain
right?
way, then that's what you're going to act on what you really believe. If you're not acting on what you really believe or what you said, then you're either not honest or you don't believe what you said.
Then how does belief matter if you're not honest about it? The only way you know whether or not it's honest is what comes out in their conduct and how consistent their conduct is, because it's not even enough to do something. It is what you consistently do that says who you are. Don't you agree with that?
I do agree with that. So you have to spend time. That's the only way. You
There
have
you
to
go.
spend time to know that.
Dominique wants to get in. Go ahead, Dominique. Go ahead.
I think she's right, because I think a lot of people are in denial. They think they believe what they say, but we can't always live up to the person that we say we are or that we want to be. And so that's why actions are the most important of all.
And that's why you need time, because sometimes you have to evolve to get to that person and get to become that person.
And I'm about to throw something on you.
Here
How
we go.
about this? Our beliefs constantly shift and change. And I say this, the person that I was at 21, what I believe then, I don't believe now.
Loving you today, girl.
Right? So now my husband, my behavior is most important, because now if my behavior becomes crazy, right? But as long as I am consistent with believing positively, being a good person, that's what matters most.
Okay, go ahead, Sheena. Respond
Yeah,
to
but
that.
your behavior changed because of what you grew to believe.
Not necessarily, because if somebody starts off a Christian, right, and they decide they don't want to be religious and they're spiritual, they can still be a kind and loving and
Still be a
compassionate
good person.
That's a good point.
It doesn't matter.
They could become a non-believer, become atheists. I have
But will they
several
go to
friends
church, though?
and no.
Wow.
And they still
So then
be a
your
kind
behavior
person.
changed. But then your behavior changed. You're
Well,
not going to
that's
church
why
anymore.
that's why we have divorce and we have separations, because people do things.
Oh, boy, this conversation is getting more and more interesting. Thank you all for being a part of it. You know, you can't be afraid to have these conversations, and we are not, man. That's why we do what we do. That's why this is Grown Folks Radio. On the phone line with us right now, Angie's calling in. Where you calling from, Angie?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville's in the building. What's going on? What do you say?
I say that it's a little bit of both, because going to church don't save anybody, and the church is within yourself and your, like she said earlier, your beliefs. You do what you believe, and I don't matter. It doesn't matter to me what religion somebody is, as long as we are being respectful of other people's religion, and you're not trying to force it down my throat. I'm cool with it. You know, like I'm a Christian. I couldn't marry a Muslim because some of their beliefs are totally different than what I believe. Like, I'm going to be your only wife, okay? You can't have two wives.
Not every Muslim, not every Muslim believes in polygamy.
No.
So that's why it gets down to individuality again. I know, Tanisha, that's what you were thinking, right?
Because I don't think anybody really
and then
truly
talk
knows.
to Angie.
Angie, I don't think people really know true religions. You have an idea of what you think the Islam faith says, but it doesn't mean that's true. There's a lot of propaganda out there.
I have a friend that's a Muslim that broke it down to me, but I respect him as a man. I respect him as a person. I love him to death. His religion or what his beliefs are not going to change my beliefs, and I'm going to respect them. And getting to Michael Bazin, if I wasn't married, you could be spiritual. I'd date you any day with your fine self.
Well, come on down, girl. I would love to have you. And you know what, Angie? That's what I love about your realness, man. And I think the point Tanisha made is important. I know Dominique has said this too. No matter what a person calls themselves, ultimately you have to get to know them, because they may be practicing their religion entirely different than the other person who calls themselves Christian or Muslim. So it really gets down, in my opinion, to a very individual thing, man. Very individual thing. And I will be calling you after we get off the air.
She's married.
Oh, she's married.
Okay, now.
Oh, sorry about that.
But I mean, it's and your topic is strong, because I have friends that are Jehovah's Witness, and I have a friend that's an atheist. As long as she's not trying to put it on me, I'm cool with that, because in the end, I can only answer for what I do.
That's what I'm talking about. Angie, we got to rock and roll.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for calling. One Nation, One Station. Thank you all for being a part of this, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. You wanted radio to the next level. You got it. Radio with substance. Radio with depth. Radio with topics. Real radio. This is the Michael Baisden Show. Thanks, family, for listening to the Michael Baisden Show podcast, sponsored by VideoPitch.com. Go to VideoPitch.com now and be a part of our growing community of writers, video producers, and filmmakers, and get paid to share your business, opinion, and talent with the world. That's VideoPitch.com. Write it down, family. Write it down. VideoPitch.com.